Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Here Be Dragons. I am your host, as always, Stephen Stark. Joining me this week are the regular co-hosts, John, Nessie. You know them; they're here all the time. But we are very happy to welcome to the channel for the first time a legend in the fan community, Becks, Shadowcat Becks. Say hi to the people and tell them who you are.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rebecca, aka Shadowcat Becks. You guys probably have seen me floating around on Twitteros here and there. I'm a film and television editor, and all around kind of, pop culture junkie nerd.
That's how I know you is from Twitter first. We're going to get into editing conversation during this stream. Not just because I noticed it, but John's an editor too.
Awesome.
And yeah. So, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Sam Bucky, as I've been calling it.
Yeah.
Or Falso.
I've heard it Falso, but I like Sam Bucky.
Yeah, I like Sam Bucky.
But yeah, so this is Disney Plus's show. We've got 3 episodes out so far. Sam Wilson, Bucky Barnes, and a few other characters from the expanded universe. Yeah, so 3 episodes in. Let's just take a top-down view, and we'll start with our guest, Becks. Where are you at with this show after 3 episodes?
Well, I'm enjoying it, but I have to say there's something after WandaVision. I'm feeling a little kind of let down, and I'm feeling like right now we're just watching a very long extended movie that we probably could have. I'm not sure yet, like where they're not really nailing it right now. I mean, but it's enjoyable. Like each episode has been enjoyable. I really like Sam and Bucky together. I really want them to like make out and get together. I don't know why they haven't started focusing on like the love story aspect of it, but what do I know?
Right. Well, we didn't ask you here for what you know. We asked you here for what you think.
True. Yep, that's true. But no, I'm enjoying it. I just feel like there's something not quite hitting as hard as WandaVision did.
I'm going to agree with Sean. Ridiculous as hell. Wanda is a hard act to follow because that show was very I kind of crapped on it a little bit at the end of it, but I have since seen it again, and I'm like, it's actually pretty good. You know, I was nitpicking.
Yeah,
it falls back into the standard MCU mode towards the end, but other than that, I mean, with WandaVision, I very much liked the everybody else was waiting for the retro TV stuff to end and to get to the Marvel stuff. I was like, no, keep going with the retro TV stuff.
And I really enjoyed that part, but I'm saying the storyline about Wanda processing her grief landed for me better the second time around.
and that's kind of what this series is about too. It's these guys who are dealing with the fallout and the grief.
Yeah, because they both got blipped.
And
yeah, but it's more than that. I mean, Bucky is dealing with the fallout of all the trauma that he's been through.
God.
Since way back when. And like that's what I'm loving about this. I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm actually, strangely, I'm going to be the most positive person on this stream because I actually think that this show is absolutely amazing. Precisely because it's not the standard Marvel thing. I feel like it's got real gravitas to it, and it feels real as opposed to usually the Marvel stuff. Just they lean really hard into the comic book angle, which obviously it's a comic, these are comic book stories, so you expect them to do, but I also like a touch of realism, to deal with real human feelings and emotions, and to also deal with real world, have some real world relevancy, and there's stuff, continuing the theme of trauma from the WandaVision, but doing it in a different way, and also talking about race relations, and with the scenes like the bank, and when they're stopped by the cops, and the way that Sam responds to that, and it just feels like this is dealing with actual sort of real recognizable issues. And
I hear what you're saying. Let's not dig too deep into any of those topics yet, because I still want to hear from Nessie. Nessie, where are you at in general?
Well, obviously the show has got two different stories going on. There's like the overarching, the MacGuffin, why these people are working together, what's the caper, the situation that they're trying to handle. So there's that little plot thread that it's weaving all the way through, and it just always comes back to the super soldier serum. Anytime you're talking about, Captain America, that whole genre, his little claim to superherohood, the super soldier serum, and that's just, it seems like it's always the plot with these guys. It's just, here it is again. So I mean, yeah, they're kind of mixing it up in a new way with the resistance fighters getting the serum and kind of putting them on equal playing ground, but it's just kind of tired for me, the whole here we are with the super soldier serum again. Now, that being said, that's just the MacGuffin for me. That's just what's getting these people together to interact with one another. Because they're not dealing with the problem that's right in the middle of the room, which is all of their relationship to Steve, and how his death and his loss in their life has just thrown everything off kilter for them. Sam being given this huge legacy, and not feeling up to it, not thinking, how can I can't do this job. Captain America is gone. We just need to let it go.
Okay. Nessie, I'm going to jump in again. Like we're going down, we're already heading down the rabbit hole. and we're going to get there.
There's parts of it that I like. I'm like John, I'm more interested in how these characters are interacting on a personal level than the bigger plot themes of, what's going on to get these guys.
I'm going to agree with you, but I'm going to be even harsher and say that that I think they are doing a disservice to some of the story by decisions they're making in some of the other parts of the story. Like, there are themes going on in this show that I actually really think are heavy and good. The systemic racism and yes. American exceptionalism are both being examined pretty closely by this series, and what radicalization and what that looks like. All that's good stuff to be talking about. But I find myself going, I don't believe that these characters would make those decisions. And I know these characters. I've been following them through the movies for a long time now, and sometimes I'm just like, no, I don't believe it.
How do you feel about
character is making a decision that is expedient for the plot, not based on what I know from these characters of the past. All right. Now I've said my piece. You guys go ahead.
Are you not... I don't know. Are you saying that because you actually don't think they would do that, or because you're holding these characters to a certain ideal? Because that's what I like about the show, that we're presented with these characters who actually make flawed, decisions, and they make mistakes, and they're not, they don't make the perfect right decision. I don't know, Stephen. I disagree,
John, but it's not the way that they're engaging with each other. that is actually very genuine, and I like it.
Yeah.
It is the way that the heroes are engaging with the A plot, the MacGuffin plot, and the decisions they're making regarding Zemo and how to handle these people and what's the next move to make. Like,
Right.
I've seen them do this before, and they didn't do this. They didn't trust. Like, they sprung Zemo out of jail. I can't see that. They
didn't. Bucky did.
Okay. Bucky's part of A. I don't believe Bucky would do that. I just, like, we're going to have to agree to disagree on this one probably, but.
Well,
I honestly, Stephen, just think that this is a trap that you've decided that since I enjoyed this show, you're going to.
Did he break him out? Maybe he broke him out for other reasons because in episode 3 that the Wakandans are involved in this with Bucky. So maybe the Wakandans want to get a hold of Zemo, and the only way to do it.
I think when people's backs are against the wall, they make choices that aren't necessarily the best choices to make, but it's the only choice.
They had other choices.
Acting almost friendly with Zemo at times. I just am not feeling it.
Well, there's definitely
I love that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a buddy cop dynamic happening with, especially with like Bucky and Sam, which is the whole point of the show. I mean, it's basically like Lethal Weapon. I can't wait. Like, I just want Sam to say, I'm too old for this shit. I'm supposed to retire tomorrow.
But who does that make Zemo in the good cop, bad cop, in the buddy cop, Who is he? Joe Pesci?
Well, he would.
It just feels like it doesn't fit to me.
Yeah.
I want to like the show. I really like both of these characters.
Yeah.
I really like both of these actors. I'm an MCU fan. But I can't help watching it and going, this is just.
And
if you've enlisted this guy, you've decided that you need his help, even if you don't like him. It's not just to be constant brooding. They're all annoyed by each other. There's going to be this almost comedic, batting up against one another. And I actually really love the way they're all bouncing off each other.
But all of a sudden, Zemo is running the whole show. They're on his plane. They're, going here and there, and he's taking them into.
Yeah, he's a wealthy baron. He didn't have access. He didn't have access to all that stuff because he was in prison. But now that he's out, that stuff doesn't just disappear.
Now, I have a question because I'm not a Marvel. Like, I know nothing about the comic books. I've only been watching the MCU stuff. Is Zemo is that his character in the comics that he's this wealthy bear?
Yeah, he was.
That was the one that felt like, what are you talking about? He's a baron, but
Baron Zemo is the character from the comics.
Got it.
So,
how many episodes is this show?
6.
It's only 6. Okay, because
we're at the midpoint right now.
Yeah. And then that's kind of even. Again, I feel like I'm not yet at the point where I feel like this concept warrants, a 6-hour movie. Nothing so far. It's like, all right, so we're halfway there, and we have like the general story. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of twist, like they're going to be on her side at a point, fighting for everyone who are in the camps and all that stuff. I'm expecting a twist, but it's just so far it's like I don't know why I'm watching this really long extended movie.
I mean,
well, because if it was a film, you'd never be diving into the internal character struggles, which is what I'm responding to.
Yeah,
most of all.
And I don't think that that's bad, but there's still something again, it's WandaVision being so high concept with the the sitcom device and actually using that there's something more there. And and don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying each episode, but I'm a little worried, like at the end of the day, I'm going to kind of, shrug my shoulders and say, oh, that was, long.
Real
See,
talk.
and it's so weird because even though I would agree that WandaVision is sort of the concept is more sort of enjoyable and fun, I got to be honest, I find this far more interesting. But I guess I'm alone in that.
Well, you might be alone in the panel, but you're not alone in the community of people that watched it. I know some people have really thoroughly enjoyed it. Other people are having a similar reaction to myself, where I'm kind of like, I'm going to watch it because I watch everything that's MCU because I'm a shill. I'm sure that Disney Plus, that Disney check is in the mail. No, I'm not loving it. I'm not hating it. Marvel, they don't make things that are bad, but I just like, this is not nearly what I thought. This is not what I've come to expect.
See, and this is so much better than what I've come to expect.
Well,
so
and again, like, I am very happy that you are enjoying it as much as you are. I wish I was enjoying it as much as you. That'd be a lot more fun. But real talk, I'm not loving it.
I'm not.
Like, I'm gonna continue to watch it. I love these characters. I want to see where it goes. It's going to impact the story in the future. So, like, for all of those reasons, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to find things I like, and there are actually some things I like a great deal about this show. But I just find that the main plot really feels messy to me, even.
I do kind of.
I mean, well, it depends on. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Well, I am with Stephen in that I'm appreciating, everything that they're bringing into this story because, we're dealing with the fallout from the 5-year blip and how that affected the world and individuals. We're seeing it, all these political things, these factions, refugees. It's a global crisis that's still going on. I can. You can't imagine how. Half the population is just gone, and then they're back. I mean, that's terribly. Everyone on the planet is dealing with trauma right now, some type of trauma, and they're. You have to sympathize. You can sympathize. With a little bit with what everybody's going through. Just Sam's sister. Everything that she had to do on her own, holding the family business together, trying to keep the roof over their head while Sam's gone. And then he's back, but then he's gone again. He's back, alive, but once again, he's out of the picture on, letting his sister handle everything. It's just there's a lot going on. The politics, now we have 2 more players to add to the, what they started with SWORD in, the WandaVision. Now we've got the global repatriation the GRC. So that's like another world power, another, political organization that's dealing with all of these problems, and they're not being kind of shown as like being not in that positive a light, so it's just, I think it's set up for, there's a lot of it that's set up for future things, going forward. So we're getting a lot of that. We're getting a lot of it.
Okay, hold on a second, Nessie. That
This is Penelope.
This is how you win the internet. I know. When Cat comes on screen, everybody pays attention to Cat.
Yeah, she is a sucker for Zoom calls and live streams.
Nice. Well, she's a very pretty cat, and she's not clawing your face off, so.
No, she's so pretty.
Nice.
Yeah. So, sorry.
Don't apologize. Like, I got 5 more views just out of that cat.
Yeah. So maybe what I'm trying to say is they maybe just got too much going on, where if they just concentrated on maybe more on the, the personal situations and interactions with less of the, I don't know. It's what I guess
don't know either.
I enjoy.
I don't know either. I feel like the A story is moving too quickly. Maybe that's the best way I can put it. And that's why it feels like they're making these decisions too quickly, too flippantly, and it feels like they're not putting their heart in it because they need to get through the story. Maybe this should have been a 9 episode.
So what is it? Is it too long or is it too short?
I never said it was either one. It feels too fast. That's the best way I can put it.
Yeah, the pacing of the MacGuffin is running too fast, or
I mean, I'm suspecting that there's going to be like in the next episode, like kind of a major story twist, and where when they finally get together, what's her name? Carly. When they finally, although she's got her own kind of issues at the moment, where she is, being shown not to be, the moral center, as it were, with the people that are following her.
Yeah, I wish they hadn't done that.
No, that was great.
Oh, I like
because that's like, sorry, I liked this. That's what I get on the MCU about. They're too sort of morally pure with their characters. You really need to get down and dirty with, like, just because you can understand her doesn't mean she should be a completely good person.
Right.
Okay.
If you look at what the goals are for the flag breakers, it's two things. One thing sounds, hey, that's pretty good. You're thinking about, the returning to the way things were during the blip, when there was more globalization, there were people, the countries kind of let their borders down, everybody's helping everybody. Yeah, that sounds great. Becoming Earth as opposed to a planet that's got all these, different nations on it, becoming basically a one world society. That sounds great. We're all one people. But then the other thing about the blip is, to accomplish that, half of the population had to be gone. So I don't know, that doesn't sound very noble.
Right.
To get back to the way things were, half the population would be gone. And apparently they're going to be the ones that choose which half that is.
Yeah, it'll be the half without super soldier blood for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So there is that.
I really do understand your point of view, John. Like, you're like, no, I they're too upright. But Kate put it very eloquently when she said she would have been more sympathetic.
But they'd spend the time like building up her as a sympathetic character before that turn. I'm sorry, but it's like, I appreciate getting to know characters who make bad decisions, who do bad things. Like, that's interesting to me. I don't want a character who's like totally good, and it's like, well, why the hell aren't we on her side?
Good. I want her to be a bad guy, but I don't want her to be flippant about taking a bunch of people's lives.
Well, there are people who are like that, Stephen.
There are.
Who feel like they have good reason to take actions like that. That is the world that we live in.
Yeah.
I think it would have been more nuanced if she stayed more relatable and continued to do bad things that wasn't like blowing up a building full of handcuffed people.
Well, I say, like, that's the kind of complicated like character building that I want.
I see it as too simple a choice. Man,
no, it's not.
We're not going to agree on this. Well, hold on.
It's like we come to really like and admire her, and then she does something like that, and that's.
What did I get
done?
It's not simple. I don't.
Okay,
I already got into a sword fight last night, Stephen. I'm not.
They've got 6 episodes.
If John is a black belt, he would probably kill me.
They've got 6 episodes to tell this story. And we've come to the midpoint of the story. There had to be a turn. she had to show what she is actually about. And if she is willing, she's obviously willing to kill. She's willing to kill. And we know now that that's, she is willing to kill for her cause. And the cause is, half the planet. So, yeah, I'm surprised that it wasn't bigger is what I was, kind of getting at. I was waiting for, just waiting for this, for her to, get a little darker, get a little, more down in the dirt to,
Which, by the way, I hope this is something we can actually agree on. Erin Kellyman, who plays her, really needs to be in more stuff. She was in Rogue One, not Rogue One, Solo. As well. She was great in that. Actually, playing a character in a similar vein, but not quite as ruthless. And I want to see her, first of all, on more Star Wars stuff, and she should just get cast more general, because she's a pretty great young actress.
I really am enjoying watching her play. Like, my issue is not with the acting.
Mm-hmm. Right.
With any of the characters. The MCU knows how to cast really great people. I love Anthony Mackie. I love Sebastian Stan. That is where zero of my issues coming from. We're 30 minutes in, and I have been crapping the whole time. I'm going to say some good stuff about this show. You ready?
Okay.
I really appreciate the character of Isaiah. I don't know his character's name from the comic books, but he is an existing comic book character. The old, the aging African-American super soldier from the 60s or the 70s?
Yeah, the Vietnam.
50s.
Or the 50s.
I thought it was Korea.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was some time ago. I really appreciate his inclusion. I appreciate the way he saw, the way he presented his story, why he feels the way he does, and he's right to feel wronged.
And Isaiah is actually the reason why I don't feel like the super soldier storyline is played out, because that is a major new element to that story, and I think makes it very impactful. Which, by the way, I'm not going to hear complaints about tired stories when we spent all of phase 1 with the freaking Infinity Stones. Just saying.
But, I really like that character, and I can't think of that actor's name, but I've seen him in other things. He's quite good. And
absolutely agree, Aemy.
And this is probably which leads me on to my next thing that I want to talk about. That I think the thing I enjoy the absolute most is the way they are taking the piss out of American exceptionalism.
Yeah. The actor's name is Carl Lumbly, by the way.
Okay. I don't know that I knew his name, but I've definitely seen him places, and I appreciate what he did in this show. Very powerful performance. That righteous anger he brought, so good. But this idea that we as Americans view our place in the world as sort of superior to almost every other country in the world. And if we're being honest, superior to every other country in the world. We're the greatest nation in the world. You hear that. And depending on how you want to measure it, that could be true. But by my yardstick, not so much. Anyway. Not that I'm not proud to be an American, but we could come down a notch or two on our hyper patriotism and ultra nationalism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, patriotism is good, and nationalism is very, very bad.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they gave us such a lovable character in, John Walker playing the.
Oh my God! Can I just punch him over and over and over?
Hey, don't do that. That's Kurt Russell's son.
He has a very
Sorry, Kurt. Your son has a very punchable face.
he really does.
He has like the most thankless job in this series.
Yeah, and
For
the thing
sure.
is, he's doing a great job. If you hate him this much, he's doing his job.
Oh, okay, yeah, the actor, yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because episode 2, I was like, there might be some more dimension to this guy, and then episode 3, I'm like, no, screw you, MFer.
Basically, my journey with this character.
Yeah, and that's the guy. That's what the powers that be or what have you think Captain America is supposed to represent. I mean, geez.
Yeah.
Fail.
Here's the thing. The ideal of a war hero from World War II is different from what the modern ideal of a war hero is.
Right.
And therein lies the real difference between those two characters.
Yeah. Very much.
Is
right.
he? Do we know if he also has had the super soldier serum?
He has.
I don't think he has.
Okay.
Everything he's done is supposedly through training and what have you. So.
Right. I mean, I feel like he's obvious. I think he's going to be like part of the twist at the end because
Yeah, he's going to go too far.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to go too far, but
I got a feeling that he's going to get a hold of some of that super soldier serum and like try to become, like Captain America, but not great.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll end well.
I mean, the thing I hate about him is he thinks he represents what, the standard that Steve was at when he's so totally not.
He thinks he's better. He thinks he's doing a better job than Steve.
Yeah.
I think he's a little full of himself,
Oh, he's definitely full of himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is something that Steve never, ever, ever was a moment in his life.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. For a hot second, you were talking about me in my head. I know you were actually, but like for whatever reason, you were talking about me, and I'm like, yeah, you do know me, don't you, brother?
And not during this conversation.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
We'll get back to the
a lot of people at work still call me Steve, so like when somebody says Steve, they're just talking about me, and I'm like, oh, he means
Sven,
Rogers.
Sleeve,
Right. Not Stevia.
Stoven.
Oh man.
Many and sundry.
But yeah,
Yeah, I actually in the chat, I kind of agree with Kate where it's like I don't know if it's so much that New Cap like is so full, like, it's like it's impossible. I mean, like the whole idea, and like even Sam, like it's like who's gonna actually like live up to Captain America? What normal mortal being will like live up to Captain America? And yeah, I could see like his struggle with that, which would probably, like, if he gets his hands on the serum before Sam and Bucky do, will probably lead him to taking it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I have no doubt that if he gets the opportunity to, he will.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was funny, Peter. Jump on a grenade. Steve wouldn't brag.
Yep. I mean, hey, look, John, we found common ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
John Walker.
Don't worry. We'll be past it soon.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And his part, I like his partner a lot better than I like him. Is that, I mean,
Battlestar.
Yeah. I kind of like. I kind of like.
I mean, like, what a name to put on a character in a Marvel show. I wonder if that probably is a comic book character. I'd have to look it up, but it probably is.
When he says that, and Bucky's like, "Stop the car!"
I like that Bucky has read The Hobbit.
Yes, of course.
Of course he
like
did.
I felt like that was like back when I was saying I didn't really care about watching the show, and then Marvel put out that clip. I'm like, you bastards. Because that was bait.
Yep, you got John with Lord of the Rings.
I think I do like Bucky's character of all of the ones in the series. I do think because he's like a parfait. He's got layers, and I really enjoy the way they're peeling back all those layers. The fact that he is an assassin or a former assassin working a 12-step program. I really, a 12-step, how to not be an assassin anymore. Okay. Rule number, don't kill anybody.
And he's doing a terrible job at actually, working towards, the steps, because he's taking care of like against, he's doing stuff against the people that he helped, but he's not actually tangibly addressing the people that he hurt. In case with the old man, he's hanging around with this old man whose son that he murdered, and he can't bring himself to actually confront that and actually say it. Well, that's what we're talking about. But it's heartbreaking to watch. I mean, that stuff is just so great. And delving into all that stuff and just watching the turmoil going on inside of him, it's part of just what makes the show so interesting to watch for me.
It's a good question, Mom.
Well, think about that kind of group session.
It's just, well, no.
I don't
dead, so it's just him.
Probably. But yeah, he's just him dealing with his past and trying to find out who he is. He I think is head and shoulders, I think, the protagonist, maybe. I don't know, but his story, I think, has gotten a lot more fleshed out, a little bit better fleshed out, I think. I think they could really dig more and do a little more with what's going on with Sam. I'd like to see more of that, in the next 3 episodes, But yeah, to
me, that's the best part of the show, is when those two guys are walking down a road talking.
Yeah.
Or sitting in a therapist's office, staring at each other.
They need the toxic masculinity, which we'll get to on Thursday. This show is just dripping in this. Like, I want everybody in the all the guys in this show need to sit down with a therapist for a while, for minutes.
I will say, though, that for me, I actually really enjoyed the first episode when they were off on their own, just getting to really dig deep into them as individuals. And I liked seeing Sam's personal life. It's like, this is kind of how I want to see these characters dealing with, whether it's trauma or family, situations with, their finances and stuff, and the, and the stuff that Sam's sister has been dealing with, and he thinks he's just going to ride in and, save the day, and then what greets them at the bank. I mean, that scene is just like, and when the bank teller is like, hey, could I have a picture with you? He's like, are you serious? That's just, that stuff is just great to dig into, to see these guys dealing with real issues. And and it's, for me, I know it's going to make like any future, the future films that they're in that much more interesting, because I feel like I'm getting to know these guys on a much more on a much deeper, more human level.
Yeah, on a personal level. Yeah. Yeah, just the irony that, you know, this guy, this man who has saved the planet, you know, can't get a bank loan.
Right.
It's like,
well,
wait.
I have like a lot of questions, and it's like, you know, like, what do you mean like you weren't getting paid during like those years you were working like with like there are some kind of plot holes in the argument, but you know, it's neither here nor there. I guess, like, you know, and I hear what you're saying, John. Like, I do, like, this is stuff I want to deal with, but I don't think they're actually like really like hitting like I'm not actually like, now that, like, you know, other than like the phone call from the sister, like, you know, it's once again he's like gone and he's not dealing with any of this stuff. So I mean, I feel like it's there. I don't really know if I'm getting that much more in depth about Sam. I think Bucky has a little bit more, like, you know, him being friends with like the older man because he killed his kid. But you know, it's just, I don't see how like you wouldn't have gotten all of this in like a 2.5 hour movie.
Because they would have spent all the time blowing shit up.
I disagree. Like, because I mean, like, obviously we have all these other movies where we've gotten to know like some of the other characters,
not these supporting characters.
Well,
If
they had their own movie, I'm still just at the point where it's like, I hear what you're saying, John. I just don't think it's as in depth or that groundbreaking as you do. I don't think it's telling us that much more. I'm just like getting a long movie at this point, which is, I would like something, because it is like we're taking the time in a series to like, I would like to have something like a little bit smarter in that regard. Like, as far as like the way,
I mean, I think we're getting that. I mean, so
I'm talking like more conceptual, like, because I just don't feel like, to me, this is nothing more than like what's going to end up being like a 5-hour movie. Where, you know,
I say bring that. I'm used to long movies, so bring it on.
Yeah, you're the guy that loves Lord of the Rings more than anyone. So like, long movie doesn't bother him at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, were you there like with our whole conversation last night about like how viable that is for a franchise?
No, I wanted to break into that so bad. That was before I got let in. And for me, like, and I actually think, I mean, according to interviews, Zack Snyder, this is a different topic, but he wanted a 4-hour movie. That's like what he was going for from the get-go. But even like even if they cut it down to 3 hours, the 3-hour Zack Snyder movie would not have been the Joss cut.
Not at all.
So even if he didn't get his 4-hour movie in cinemas, it still would have been much better than what ended up in theaters eventually. But that's a whole different.
I am 100% on board with you. I wasn't quite sure why I was getting yelled at yesterday, but again, that's a whole different topic. But again, just kind of going back, because I know I keep harping on WandaVision. I had like a lot of issues with WandaVision, and I was very worried at first. Like, initially, I was not on board for the different sitcoms. And it's like, I need this to like really pay off for a reason why I'm seeing this, other than just like shits and giggles. Let's do this. And then it did. And it's like, great. I'm so satisfied now. But, and I'm not saying like, you know, everything has to be like this weird high concept thing, but it's just, if they had done, if Winter Soldier, or if Falcon Winter Soldier came out before WandaVision, I think I would probably be a little bit more gung-ho about it.
That might be true. WandaVision for me set a pretty high bar because even the complaints I had, I was like, the show was great.
Yeah.
I had complaints about it. It was great. I had even fewer complaints after a second viewing. It was really, really good. I loved that show. I am not loving this show, but like, I think we're retreading the same ground here.
Yeah, we are.
You know, so shall we talk about something more specific? I don't know what. Nobody said the words Sharon Carter yet.
I was, yes, I am very glad to see Sharon Carter show up in this show. I would have liked to have seen more of her in on the big screen. You know, I was an Agent Carter fan. And yeah, she's got a legacy and big shoes to fill too, you know? So yeah, I like, she's a perfect fit on the the Marvel TV screen, because she's not a high-powered superhero. She's Agent Carter 2.0, you know, and yes,
Agent 13.
Agent, yeah. Yeah. And I was like, well, now we know what happened to her. She didn't get off easy. She didn't get a presidential pardon or whatever, and group therapy. And, she's been living on the run now for, a few years. But she's obviously, she's got contacts. I'm curious as to, okay, she got in the back of a car. Who was that? What, there's more questions here. Like, she showed up out of nowhere, and now I've got questions.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it was nice to see her. I like that character.
Why wouldn't she have gotten a pardon other than she didn't get a pardon in order to have her where they needed her?
Clunky storytelling that I'm talking about. Why did she not have a pardon? Also, what makes Sam think he's going to get her a pardon? Isn't he basically like a freelance operative, not associated directly with the government?
Yeah, didn't he just break a high-profile, criminal out of him? Yeah.
And why would she believe that he could do that? See, it's these type of things. When you get down to the detail level, I'm just like, that doesn't make sense.
But I feel like the movies are littered with those kinds of
leaps
in logic.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that either.
Okay, maybe that's just me.
Yeah, maybe that had come from Sam, who is at least got much more legitimate connections and what have you. That that it might have been more believable.
Kate, I've actually given this some thought myself, but it just then I have questions about why she would have led them to what's his name? I can't remember the guy who was developing the serum. I'm not ruling it out. It depends on how much this show wants to lean into what I affectionately call 24-isms. Which are kind of those twists where the bad guy has actually been in plain sight all along.
Sharon Carter's not a bad guy. She's not going to be a bad guy.
She's been up to some shady activity, and we haven't seen her for a number of years, so you don't know.
Oh, you're right. I don't know. I strongly doubt.
But
it would be interesting if she did turn out to be a bad guy.
But yeah, I mean, it's the way I usually operate with these things is I'm like, I have wondered about who the power broker is and if we've actually already seen that person on a camera, because usually when somebody's being kept in the shadows, it usually ends up being some kind of twist reveal. But I'm also not trying to predict it yet because I just want to let the story unfold, and they'll tell me when they're ready. So
yeah. Well, the fact that little nugget that dropped that they used the Isaiah's blood, all those testing and everything that he was talking about going through, and that's where they got the source, whoever it was. But who was testing him? Probably the United States government. they had they were. I'm saying it's probably going to somehow be some shadow government organization that's, very, like we saw the who was the general in Sword who was running his own agenda with Vision, and right. And now,
yeah, I've already forgotten his name because I hated him so hard.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. There's these people who are within the system. There's that they have that want to resurrect all of these things. It's too powerful to let go. So having and who controls that knowledge is, going to be a power broker. So I would not be surprised at all if it wasn't somebody in the government.
I mean, yeah.
United States government, whatever. American exceptionalism again. Only we can have.
Sean's got the good catch. Nadler said it was the CIA that was testing Isaiah's blood. Good catch there, buddy.
Yeah, I thought that it was, probably CIA or what have you. Some shadowy spook group.
Yeah, but again, that's what this show is doing right, as far as I'm concerned, is these looks at like the institutions of modern American society and being very critical of them, of the systemic racism, of the the wealth gap, like even down to the way our modern our modern society treats its veterans. Like, people on the street are always super nice, but the government doesn't give a crap. Like, VA hospitals are underfunded, understaffed, under-equipped, and like they've
apathetic and incompetent, and I can speak from personal knowledge.
Mm-hmm. So like I really appreciate that they are doing that in a show that's and then they took the Captain America. Like, I don't like the John Walker character, but it is so poignant what they're doing by putting the shield on him and making him the new Captain America. Like, it's very telling that that's the decision that modern America made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That the modern government would make.
When Cap first got, when he first became Captain, when Steve Rogers first became Captain America, he was just like a figurehead. They trotted him out to sell war bonds. They put him in parades. So it was all like PR. So that's kind of what they, initially are doing with this guy. It's like, this is what the government wanted to do, and they could control Steve, control the image of what, Captain was before he took his own agency and decided what he was going to do. So this is the government's idea of, this is how we want to use this figure.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And they specifically used someone who did not have superpowers, was not exceptional other than, by physical means.
He was the guy that was going to follow their orders no matter what.
Exactly. He's a company man. He's a military man.
Right. And Steve was the good man. This is the good soldier. And there's such a difference in that approach, Like, Steve Rogers always did what he felt was morally correct, even if he went against orders. Exactly. Whereas John Walker feels like the type of man that will be told, this is what we need to happen, and he's like, I will do everything to make that happen, even if it's like coloring outside the lines. And
I do want to say on the subject of Walker, it's like, I don't think I had realized, like, especially as someone who, everybody knows is self-professed not, the biggest MCU fan in the world, but it made me realize just what an amazing job Chris Evans did as Steve Rogers. The fact that I hate John Walker so much, it's because, because he's what, Steve wasn't. And just like, I feel like he's just, dragging the name of Captain America through the mud. And it's, I'm just like, no, you're not the guy.
Yeah.
So
He's not that guy.
No.
No.
Depending on your reference, he might be that guy in the end. He might.
He may be that guy.
He might be that guy. You're right. Anyway,
but he's not the guy.
He's not the guy. He ain't Steve.
Damn Skippy isn't.
And like, neither is Sam and neither is Bucky, but both of them are so much closer to what Steve was.
Yeah.
That it makes sense for either one of them to take up the mantle. I really like that he chose Sam to pass the shield off to. I mean, we can get into.
A good man.
We'll save that for the second half because that's like a whole other conversation. I would like to talk about like the decision to hand the shield to Sam versus Bucky at the end. Yeah, you're right, Aemy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely. I mean, I agree with Steve's decision to hand it to Sam personally, and the show obviously doesn't end any other way, especially given the themes that are being covered in the show. So I'm very much looking forward to that point when Sam takes up that mantle. You know, having gone through everything that's still in store over the course of the show.
Okay.
And I wonder what I'm interested to see what happens to Walker over the course of the show, even though like I said, he's extremely punchable and I want bad things to happen to him, but I'm still interested to see what those things are.
Right.
I am curious as to whether Sam is going to get a hold of the super soldier serum as well.
That would be cool because Bucky's got it.
Bucky's got it. Yeah.
It would be very cool if Sam did because, like, you know what? We've been going for about an hour. Let's do the mid-roll before we go down another rabbit hole, all right?
Yeah.
So, 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We do a mid-roll because otherwise I will never remember to say comment, subscribe, hit the like button. You know, prayer to the YouTube algorithm gods. Please do the thing. We appreciate you. Also, got to make sure I shout out our patrons. Our patrons are overseen by the High Council, which consists of Lord John Bronsteen the Wise, Sixto Sounds, a.k.a. JP the Axe Grinder, and, of course, Ridiculous Ed Tollett, the Alpha Patron. Hope you're getting off work right about now, buddy. Drive safe on the way home. And our High Council is backed up by the Lords and Ladies of the Realm, who are Lady Leaf Underhill, Aemy Blackfyre, lover of poles, and Ryan Stavka, the Russian Quartermaster. Okay. So what's coming up next? On Here Be Dragons next week, come back for another I Know That Nerd with a friend we made recently. She's made quite a few appearances, and I've been on her channel a couple times. We'll be doing an I Know That Nerd next week with Cecilia from Geek Australia. I'm really looking forward to it. She's an awesome lady. I will have a little bit of Spanish in that. Not much. We're an English language podcast, but I'm going to try and dust off my Spanish and see if I can impress the lady from Mexico. And then the week after that is we're going back, and I'm telling you now, so that you have time to watch it. Season 3 of Star Wars. The Clone Wars animated series.
Finally.
It's been a long time coming. We're going to finally get back to it. So watch the Clone Wars. You've got about 2 weeks to down that season. Good luck to you. Wish me luck. I'm going to have to cram it, but here we go. Okay, Nessie, what's coming up over there on the Unspun Yarn?
I've got a very special episode coming up this Thursday at 7 p.m. and it's called Bleep the Toxicity. And this is going to be a very special episode where we discuss toxic masculinity. And my very special guests are going to be this guy up here and this guy right here. My podcast brothers are going to join me and Aemy, and also a special guest, Micah Clark. He's going to be first time guest. So I think we got a great panel and a great topic, and looking forward to digging into that.
Now, will this be good Micah or evil Micah? Which one's going to show up?
It's the real Micah, so you get to judge. Evil Micah has been such a great follow on Twitter.
I know, yes,
so.
Great.
Been great, and actual Micah is a very close friend of ours.
Of course,
he's in our Slack group, and
he's wonderful.
He's a wonderful young guy. I'm looking forward to sharing the screen with him for the first time.
Yeah, me too.
John.
So before I plug my stuff, I want to do the most John thing I can think of, which is apologize if I've gotten on anybody's nerves this stream. But I knew I was fighting up an uphill battle, so I had to come out swinging. But aside from that, we Aemy and I are still working towards that transition to the Cinematic Realms podcast. It's coming, guys. I swear it is. But in the meantime, we have the stream we did for my birthday just a few days ago, which we had a great time, which turned out to be a bit different than I think we had planned. We obviously the topic was, of course, as you all know, Keira Knightley, because what else would we talk about? But also,
really have Keira. The other half was mad chaos.
That's what I'm saying. It was also AMA, and the second half just devolved into just a free for all of talking about everything. So if you tolerate and put up with our Keira talk for the first half, you will be rewarded with lots of other fun stuff in the second half. And like I said, the first episode of the podcast is coming, and then our plan for the second episode after the intro will be to cover the Wizard of Oz, as we've been saying, but I promise you guys it's coming.
Right on. And I will say this, as somebody who's I am not nearly the Keira Knightley fan that you are. I found the first half to still be very enjoyable to listen to, but the second half of that stream was chaos, and I loved it. Bex, are you working on anything? Got anything coming up?
As far as content creation, we Heidi and I and John Del Vento had a channel for a little bit called The Creative Skill, but we are not doing that. It was just too hard for the three of us to link up together, and I'm actually I have a very good problem of being double booked from starting the week after next into well into the summer. So I'm not sure where my content creation future, where it's going at the moment, but I'm just kind of hopping on everybody else's coattails, so I just get to show up and relax, and you guys do all the work. And
right. Hey man, I lay my coattails down for people.
Yeah.
Considering putting some patio furniture back there.
Yeah.
I want people to I love having people come on the channel. I'm really glad that you decided to join us. It was pretty last minute.
Yeah.
But you literally, we were talking. I was on that 24-hour stream that people have been discussing in the chat.
Yes.
I was on very early, but you were there, and and Falcon and Winter Soldier came up, and I saw you say, "Yeah, I thought more or less the same way," and I'm like,
You're I need.
Was going to fall, but John. I went and got reinforcements.
Yeah. You said I need another person to gang up on John.
Yeah, that was 100% of my thought process. I'm like, worst case scenario, we're 50-50. Anyway,
I love how I wound up being the
It is
positive
kind of
voice
funny.
on a Marvel stream.
That's not true. That's not true, John. There's a lot about the show that I
Yeah,
like.
I know.
I'm 50-50 with it. There's a lot you like. There's a lot that there's some things I've got problems with. Is it enjoyable? Yes. Would I recommend it? Yes. Is it WandaVision level of great? No. But that
Well, you could take that either way. No, I will
it is
say
something completely different from what we were last given.
I do want to say, lest anybody be too like disappointed with me, though. I do want to point out, if it hasn't already been noticeable, I am wearing a Batman shirt today.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I am sticking it to Marvel, that way. So.
Yeah, never change, buddy.
Yes,
John, if it's any consolation, I am much more of a DC fan than a Marvel fan.
Well, the hilarious thing is, I'm actually not like, I'm more like ambivalent towards the MCU than Marvel in general, because I actually am a pretty big X-Men fan, but yeah, it's just a running gag at this point, so I just keep going.
It's a local meme. But okay, so I'm going to circle back to what we were talking about earlier about the decision for Steve to give Sam the shield. Not Bucky, not his lifelong best friend, not the person that's a super soldier, but a regular man, a black man in modern America, and so much more based on the ideals that he had shown that were in line with Steve's.
Yeah.
He also had it's not really Bucky's fault, but there's a lot of complications with Bucky's past that Sam just doesn't have. Sam, I think, was by far the best choice to take up the shield, and I really wish that he had held on to it. But I also love that part of what's driving him early in the story is that feeling of, I don't deserve the shield. Like, if you go back exactly 1 week, you can watch me and John and the co-hosts from the Silent Sisters podcast talk about feeling like you don't belong, feeling like you don't measure up. So that is one of the most incredibly relatable things about the show to me, is the way, like, I'm enjoying Bucky's part of the story more, but that feeling from Sam where he says, I'm just not sure that I am the right one. Not sure I belong here. Like, that is, and I like the character to begin with, but that's the most relatable he's ever been to me.
Like, and throughout, like, the episodes between Bucky and then Sharon, like, they're like, why'd you give it up? Why'd you give it up? And it's like, without that always, like, kind of, like, annoys me with them. It's like, do you want to be Captain America? Like, yeah, and like, they're just even like putting like even more and more pressure on it. It's just like annoying, like, like, why don't you understand that someone might not want this or might not feel like they can like live up to it? Because like at this point, like Steve Rogers, in this point, he's a bona fide saint.
Yeah.
The
man's got a museum. They haven't built one to, Iron Man. This guy's got a museum. He's, like Bex was saying, he's gone into sainthood, into, mythology. He is now, he's a legend, and no one in Sam's mind, no one should fill his shoes.
Yeah.
No one would ever be good enough to fill his shoes.
Yeah, that's a conversation that hasn't happened yet, but I hope does in this show, is should there be a new Captain America?
Right.
And maybe
like, let him rest. Captain's done his job.
Right, but they're trying to repurpose. It's just I love it. I love the way
they even have to call him Captain America.
They're dressing up. They're dressing up this other person to look right, and on paper he looks like the right choice, but we all can tell that he's not going to end up being the right choice because of the way he chooses to engage with his ethics and morals. He outsources that to his superiors.
Well, Steve
Yeah.
thought, obviously, by giving the shield to Sam, I think he felt it was more important that a moral person, a good man, a moral person, someone with character, is more important to the ideal of Captain America than somebody who's, got super strength or what have you, the mechanics of being Captain America, if you know that part, for what it's supposed to stand for. He thought that was more important than anything, so he understood, I think, the ideal that it represented.
Right. Sam, by rejecting the shield, shows that he's the one most worthy of it. It's that sort of
Right?
Yeah.
It's the person that says, I don't want to be the king, who makes the best king.
He refused the call to action.
Right.
He refused it.
But and that might be kind of where this story is heading, is that he's going to get to a place where he realizes, if it's not me, it's going to be someone worse, and so he feels like he has to take up that mantle. It has to be
me. Yeah, it has to be him, that he takes it up out of a sense of responsibility.
And that would be a satisfying turn for me, I think.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, we talked about Sharon Carter briefly, but I didn't get to say they did her action sequences very well.
I'm so thrilled about the action sequences in this show, because it very much reminds me of the film The Winter Soldier, and
which was
that kind of hand to hand or weapon, or weapon to forehead, combat. And it's I'll be honest, it's more my jam than constant, people flying around and the standard Marvel stuff.
That was one of my criticisms at the end of WandaVision, was like shooting laser beams at each other. This sort of like ground level, visceral, gun fu almost style. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is more reminiscent of what they were trying to do, like with their Netflix series, where everything was more boots on the ground, hand to hand, that type of physical action, as opposed to this super powered, let's fight and destroy a city while we're at it.
That said, I will say that even the opening sequence, which was sort of more in line with what you'd expect from one of the big budget Marvel films, felt more grounded to me, and I was very impressed by that whole opening.
You're talking about like flying through the canyon and all that.
Yeah.
It was a pretty wild ride. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Yep. The cinematography has been really good. I like the way that they've been moving the camera around.
I love the look of this show, and I think that it's something that I remarked early on with when all the previews were coming out for these different Marvel shows, is I actually have found the look of each of these shows, from what I've seen, we obviously haven't seen Loki yet, but we've gotten glimpses of it. I find the sort of cinematography and the style of these shows much more interesting to me than the films. Personally, I just feel like they've been given license to kind of veer away from the sort of standard norm that they stick to with the films.
Yeah, they're really slick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that.
It's got to be good for it to stand out to me.
And I personally, one moment that did stick out, which is in episode 3, which I really liked, was when they have the slow motion shot with the Edith Piaf song with Sam, Bucky, and Zemo just walking in slow motion. It just felt like it was a stylistic choice that you don't normally get in these kinds of movies.
It had like a Western vibe or something to it. You know, the three guys could come out of the, you know, walk into town out of the sunset and, you know, wah, wah, wah. Yeah. That exactly. That,
I'm
you know,
having trouble with
Western
that.
And just like, and this isn't connected to, but just as sort of random things I enjoyed, which I guess what we should probably save for the end, but I want to throw it out there anyway. Just that random shot of Zemo doing his dancing in the club.
Yes. I mean, I have a love-hate with that shot. I'm like, really? You guys are like hanging out at a party with this guy now? But it was really funny to watch him.
I love it.
Yeah, this is a little bit. They're having a lot more fun than, say, you know, the guys in 48 Hours did. You know, where they busted the guy out of jail. You know, he was still a prisoner the whole time. This guy, he's just become one of the guys real quick. You know, he's not.
Well, it's not that. He's just like pretty cuckoo. It's like,
oh, he's like, very much a character. This guy.
Yeah.
You know, he is very much a character, very flamboyant. You know, he stands out. He's the peacock in the room, you know, wherever he is.
Well, he's a baron, you know. He used to be nobility.
Right. Yeah. Nobility.
Honestly, like this last episode, I didn't really like pay. I didn't watch it the same way I watched the other two episodes. Like I do remember like those like quick little blips, but I found this last episode to be so clunky, like story wise, that I think like and usually like when I watch stuff, like I watch like the first time, just like try to keep it like, you know, as raw as possible, and then I'll like go back and, you know, kind of like really start honing in on things. And I think even just like the whole buddiness of it all, like and like once it was like he's a baron. Now that's on me for not knowing that that's like the whole thing, but it's like what is happening? Like it felt like very like shark jumpy, even though I know it's not really, but I had a hard time like getting on board with that kind of stuff. You know,
I had to kind of go back
and enjoy it. You know, I did, but
counterpoint, John.
I didn't find it clunky. I don't know.
Okay.
No, I've made it clear that I enjoyed the heck out of these episodes, so I'm not gonna push that too much further. I will say, like, there were I think there were two moments where I felt like the cuts were a bit too abrupt in this third episode, just like they were in one spot and then it's quickly cut to another. There wasn't anything like fundamentally wrong with it. It just felt a little like there was just an extra beat in the cut somewhere. But like I said, it wasn't like something that I said, no, that doesn't work. It just struck me as a little odd. So if you want me to throw some criticisms out there, I will from an editorial standpoint, but not in terms of like the overall edit. I actually, like I said, I enjoyed a lot of stuff, like with the sort of slow motion walk and the cutting in the club, and so even if I, you know, have a criticism in one spot, I feel like they made up for it in other places. But I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought the fun of this episode really was these characters bouncing off of each other. You know, it's I don't know. I just feel differently about it. So that's fine.
I think I probably enjoyed the third episode better than I did the first two. It just seemed, I don't know, maybe there was just more. I enjoyed the action sequences in the third episode. I think that's probably what I enjoyed most about it. but yeah, the cutting back and forth was a bit. It could have been done a little smoother, I think, but still they're in the exposition phase. They're trying to cram a lot of things together in these, limited 6. Maybe they should have done 9 episodes, stretch it out a little bit more, and it wouldn't be quite as.
Well, I feel like they're not doing that because I don't think that they're aiming for a certain length with all of these. These episodes are longer. The reason why there's fewer episodes is because the episodes themselves are longer.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yes.
There it is.
There it is. It's beautiful, isn't it?
He's just.
You know what it really reminds me of? It reminds me of there's an episode of Angel where they're all at some kind of party. I think it's in season 1 or season 2, and there's this quick cutaway shot where Wesley is just really getting into the dance, and then Angel has this nightmare vision of him doing that kind of dance on the dance floor. He's going sorry.
Yeah, the Angel dance, that character is great, and he's great at a lot of things. But music ain't one of them. You ever heard him sing? Oh my gosh. Okay, let's steer back towards Marvel, but a worthy comparison.
Mandy.
A worthy comparison, John.
Yeah. But I know that the bromance has kind of gotten a little, fast, but I do enjoy their interactions, even if it was put on fast forward. I do like the way they interact with one another. And you're never sure with the Baron whether he's making a break for it, and then he shows up, he'll leave these guys and just go off on his own, and then all of a sudden there he is back with coming through in the clutch.
I think he's got an angle. He's trying to get the super soldier serum for him.
Oh yeah, he's got an angle. He's definitely got an angle. He's not in altruism
because he's trying to get it for himself.
For himself, or does he just want to destroy all the doses? That was kind of what his whole thing was. And
you're right, but I think maybe he realizes he can't do that. So he's just trying to
out of the bottle,
to level up onto the next tier of the playing field,
I mean, the genie's out of the bottle, they can always go back. Isaiah is still there. Mm-hmm. If they want to go and snatch him up again and do bad things to him, who's going to stop?
Don't say that.
I know. That's the reality that they're living in. The genie is out of the bottle. If they don't control it, who controls it, is kind of the key to this story. You don't want a whole army of them running around, But it's that thing, you can't put the genie back in the bottle.
Yeah, the toothpaste is out of the tube.
Yep.
What have we not talked about yet? And chat, throw stuff out there. If there's something that we haven't discussed, throw it out there. We'll
we haven't really dug into Carly Morgenthau's character yet. We haven't really got into the whole.
We don't know much.
Yeah, we've only gotten sort of glimpses with her, and
I just had a thought that related to that character. One of my earlier criticisms was that she was too flippant in letting those people die. But I just had a thought about she lost her, grandmother or her caretaker, whoever that was.
Yeah.
That person had just died and may have lived had those 6 months worth of supplies been distributed. So actually, I'm going to dial back my criticism of that specific decision a little bit, because as somebody who is experiencing fresh grief, she might be, that might have been the straw that broke the camel's back for her, pushed her over the edge and made her go, look, I'm not playing with these people anymore. somebody I care about died because we couldn't get to these supplies. So yeah, all right. I'm going to chew on that for a minute.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And they were literally just sitting there, and these people weren't doing their jobs. The people that they had handcuffed or tied up, they weren't doing their jobs, and people died because of their apathy. Why were those supplies still sitting there for 6 months? So you can kind of she gets a lot of sympathy, in these types of things, because she's trying to help people that are displaced and have lost everything. And
yeah, and as and as they state, I don't know if it's in that episode or in the prior one, that the GRC is more interested in helping those who have just come back, as opposed to the ones who have been there. So they're just, that apathy, as you said, the apathy towards them, and just even up to that moment where she says, "Don't you realize we're, fighting for our lives?" And so I think that's why that moment comes as such a shock when the explosion goes off. It certainly did for me. Just and so, which, don't get me wrong, as I said earlier, I actually find that very compelling to add that wrinkle. Yeah, Kate, but again, like, that's what what people do. It's it happens in this world, and people do act out of rage,
Sean,
when they should ease off.
Sean, never change, buddy. Never change.
And she is very young,
Yeah.
and the last 5 years have been incredibly difficult for her, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
She was one of the people that were probably lost her parents. She's alone for whatever reason. We don't know what happened. We don't know her backstory. We just that she's lost everything, and at a very young age. She can't be more than what, maybe 18, 19 now. I don't see her being much beyond a teenager. And then she would have had to have been, what, about 15 when everything happened. Her world was destroyed. So
yeah,
that's a very impressionable age. And maybe she's never really matured past that angry teenager who, just has all this, doesn't know how to deal with what's, taking place.
That actress is 22 years old.
The actress
So
is
you figure a year ago she was 21, and you're right. She could pass for 18, I would think.
Yeah.
She was very young when the blip happened, no matter how you look at it.
Which would have made her like 13 when the blip happened. Yeah. I was just gonna say that, like, what a great face that actress has. What a great face. Like,
she's very photogenic.
Yes. And like,
and arresting,
like she's very, we'll just go with pleasant to look at, but also so distinct and so unique. It's I agree, John, we need to cast her more things, because she's also like killing it as the character. It's the acting is also very good.
Yeah, she's got this character down.
I mean, and just going back to her turning solo, it's so you're really taken aback when you have this character's Enfys Nest, who's built up as the leader of I'm trying to think what the organization is called. I don't remember, but
the Good Guy Pirates Organization.
Yeah, but she's this really imposing figure in all her armor and everything. She takes off this helmet, and you realize it's this young girl leading this fight. And it's just like she's so good there, even though she just has a smaller part in that film. But just her appearance is very distinctive, and she does such a great job of conveying sort of experience and maturity, from such a young age. So like I said, I really actually hope to get more of her character in other Star Wars stuff, and yeah, I love seeing her in this because I think she's just doing a great job.
I googled it. That group of pirates is called the Cloud Riders.
Okay.
Just for those that really care.
There are people out there that care, for sure.
There are.
there are.
Like, our sort of unofficial motto is unnecessary pedantry. So, like, it's at least on brand.
Yeah.
Tinkerbell's got a great point. She wasn't as affected by the snap as she was by the blip when everyone came back, and that may or may not be true. But we don't see what she was like 5 years ago, but she was clearly very, very affected by the people coming back as well.
Yeah,
because she had learned to get on with life or whatever, and
you adapt to stuff easier when you're younger. But just imagine like growing accustomed to the world the way you've come to accept it, and then all of a sudden, like, just as many people as there are in the world suddenly materialize.
I mean,
and how much that throws things into disarray.
Yeah, it's just utter chaos. And obviously all these refugees and people are displaced, and with who even knows what the rules are anymore? Were those people declared dead while they were gone? How did their property and whatever work?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. No, I mean there's going to be
people living in their houses.
Well, in WandaVision did like that, like the blip, like that episode with, oh God, I'm sorry, I'm like totally blanking on everybody's name. Rambo.
Yeah.
Thank you. And where she basically like all of a sudden woke up in the mid and like in utter chaos. So, and I feel like there. I mean, this is true with like both DC, MCU. Like, you have to like you can't watch these in a vacuum. Like, I can't see anybody being able to watch like Falcon Winter Soldier without having seen the movie, or even WandaVision, where it actually like having like showing that. But there's also a little bit like, I don't know. I want to spend more time with her for sure. And I feel like, yeah, I want to spend more time.
I agree. She's a great actress, interesting character. Here's the thing, though. Like, she doesn't have big bad evil guy energy to me. Which leads me to ask, who is the BBEG?
It's like that shadow, like the shadow government.
Power broker.
Yeah.
Well, there's like, and that's the question.
Or is it somebody within the United States government?
I mean, well, number one, like, will the power broker be revealed, or is it like really just like the introduction of the power broker? Like, do we need the reveal of the power broker? Like, and then they did like one of those commercials for like what was it in this in the third episode?
Yeah.
Like, we did, which I kind of want them. It kind of worked in WandaVision, but like I don't need them to like keep making like stupid fake commercials. Just like get on with it.
But that was a different thing. I think in WandaVision it was an expression of her psyche. This is actually giving you a glimpse into what the public face of this organization is versus what they're actually doing.
I understand. I still think it's a device that they like that felt really weird and out of place in this. And like, I just like, it's not clever enough. Like, and I understand, like, you know, it's a good way to like introduce, like, you know, this, you know, like, what was it, like the federal repatriation, whatever it was called. And yeah, it is more propaganda, but like it's just a fake commercial. Like, they don't need to show like really fake commercials, especially like really bad ones. Like, if they're gonna show like make fake commercials, like kind of like make like, this is stuff that I do, like you know, for ad agency clients, like, you know, constant, like, you know, rips for new business pitches. Like,
It
don't
kind of
do it.
reminded me. It kind of reminded me a little bit. Now that I think about it, some of the themes and things that it's playing with here reminds me of Watchmen and everything that they were doing after the giant squid octopus creature like landed. Spoiler alert! In New Jersey, you know, and then they had all the fallout after that, and the fake or the commercials that they were putting out, like, it's safe to go back to New York now, go on with your lives, things are getting better. You know, we dealt with this problem. It's kind of like that, you know. That
No,
kind
I understand. I just like, I don't like, they don't need to do it. It's like, because it's been done before. They it's just not like, as far as like a filmmaking technique, like, I don't think like they're doing it well. It like, it worked, even like the tonality, like, I'm getting like really like nitpicky, like with like the style and the tone, and, you know, like purposely like you know, like taking the most schlocky stock looking footage and making it like like cheesy and stupid on purpose. And it's like, just tell me about this fucking group. Like, it's just, it's an annoyance for me. That's it. But you know, so now it's kind of like, all right, you've now introduced, you know, this agency, and it's like, obviously it has something coming down the road. So yeah, it's like, yeah, yes, Kate. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm like getting really frustrated because like, I'm frustrated with myself because like, this is all like, you guys are just
I think
all what I'm trying to articulate. But yeah, and I'm like, yes, it is purposely done to like look bad and schlocky, but stop doing it, because like people do it all the time and I'm so over it.
Yeah, I think that's because, you know, this is one where you're a little bit, it hits a little too close to home for
Yeah,
you.
that's true.
Because
that's
this is like
true.
more up your alley of what you do professionally.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I'm just like, no, like John and I have disagreed a lot. Bex and I have agreed a lot, but I'm going to part ways with you here. Like, I do not have an issue with it.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I can see where you're coming from. I really can, but it didn't bother me at all.
Yeah. I feel like it's in so many things, and like everyone thinks that they're so clever because it's like, oh, you know, we're making a generic commercial yet again, and we're doing it like in this very schlocky way, where it's like so many people are doing it these days. So it's like, that's my.
Well, as far as what's interesting, as far as WandaVision factors into this, an interesting point to keep in mind, I think, is that WandaVision actually wasn't even supposed to be the first show
This
was. So it wouldn't. So if they had the original, it wouldn't be a tired out concept, at least within Marvel. Yeah.
Right. And yeah, and I want, like, why do we know why they did WandaVision first then?
I think it just had to do with the scheduling changes from something with
some kind of thing where they were going to do where they had to do reshoots for Sam Bucky, and it was early in COVID, so they
I think COVID had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, because these were supposed to come to air to streaming, whatever.
Yeah.
Much earlier, and then things got pushed back. So
got it.
Things were just reorganized for a slew of different reasons, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, and in all fairness, I actually think things worked out the best way, because I actually think that WandaVision was the perfect show to launch with just given the nature of it was Marvel, the MCU moving to television, and it was about television. So I just think that was absolutely perfect to launch this whole thing. So, so I think things worked out for the best. But it's just interesting to think how perceptions would be if this had been the first show to hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then there would have been so many, probably complaints about, this really feels and tastes a lot like what the MCU was trying to do, so by WandaVision, by this being more of like but
I don't know. I feel like, and we're kind of stepping back here in the discussion a little bit, but I feel like this is kind of what I expected. Like when you move these big screen characters to Disney Plus, it's going to have, sort of the scale and feel of the MCU films, just more room to breathe. And I feel like that's what I'm getting with these. So I don't know. It's not like,
it's not weird enough for me, John. I need more weird.
It's kind of weird. It is kind of weird.
It's not like WandaVision weird.
It ain't WandaVision, but
weird. That's like,
but weird alone isn't enough. And I'm not saying WandaVision only had that, because it actually had a very substantive, emotional story at its core. But not every show is going to have the quirky sensibility of WandaVision.
I know they just can't keep doing that. It was unique and out of the box, and it grabbed a lot of attention because of that as well.
It worked for what it was trying to do, and I really hope that the second half of this show works better for me. Okay, we got about maybe 15 minutes left in the stream. Bring up anything you haven't. Otherwise, let's look forward to the second half of the show. What are you hoping to see? Any theories? Any desires of what you want, or are we just like, nope, I'm just hanging on to the rail and letting the ride take me where it's taking me? Becks, you first.
I again, because I'm not as like, if it hasn't been put on screen or on TV, like I know nothing about Marvel, like the MCU. So I have like no theories. I don't even think I heard of Power Broker prior to this. But I'm interested to like hear about the plans that like maybe that they have like going forward with Sam and Bucky. And whether or not we're actually going to see like who Power Broker is, or I don't know. I mean, I'm more along for the ride at this point, although I do want Sam and Bucky to make out.
You want who? What?
Sam and Bucky, like,
okay.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me there isn't chemistry there.
They're both very attractive men.
Yeah. But I think they're
But like,
I'm joking, but I'm not.
Wouldn't it be like getting with your ex-boyfriend's ex-boyfriend? Like, isn't that a no-no? Maybe that's why there's such tension, because they're both like Steve's exes.
Yeah, they're Steve's exes.
Well,
but they need to find.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a very like more the merrier situation. So.
Well, I mean, you just throw Agent Carter in the mix, and well, we'll see.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. Show me more of her.
There's no way it's going to happen. It wouldn't, I would stand up and cheer if it did, but like, I really don't think that's even the dynamic that they're building for these two. But,
no, I know. No, I still want it. I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, I feel you.
Silently ship it, but it's not, it's there in the background, but they'll never acknowledge it.
Yes.
Okay, Nessie, you're next going around the Screen? What are you looking forward to or hoping for or whatever?
Well, I'm curious as to how they're gonna land this thing, because they've got a lot of eggs in the air, to satisfactorily tie up, where this is going. What are they trying to get, what resolution are they hoping for? Are we going to see, Sam take up the mantle? Is it going to be, is he going to be working with Bucky? Are they going to like grow up from here on out? Who is this shadow organization? What's going to happen to this young girl? There's a lot of character development, and how are they going to work out their personal shit? Are they going to just start going to couples therapy, grief counseling together? I don't know.
I did really like, as hokey as it was, I did really like their therapy session.
Yes.
Yeah.
They need to do more of that.
Yeah.
If the show ends with the two of them in that therapist's office working this thing out, I would be fine with that.
I'm game for it. I am all for them being like total buddy cop, just like procedural buddy cop.
Yeah, they need to get with Agent Wu and Dr. Darcy Lewis and just solve crimes together in the MCU.
Yeah. And who's the one that's been helping Falcon, his man on the ground?
Oh,
Torres. Yeah. Mix them all up.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, are these stories, what's next for, what's the next thing that they're going to be bringing us? Is this, any of these storylines going to be continued in further series? Is this something that they're going to pick up? Are these, how are they going to weave this into, are they going to try to weave this into further storytelling, or is this just going to be its own independent thing? Are they going to, John's like, I saw the big side, John. He's like, no, don't do it.
Well, no. Actually, I mean, I think the natural evolution of this is set up for Sam to be the new Captain America. So I very much see this series as leading into a future Captain America films. So like I know normally I'm like, no, keep everything self-contained. No, I think the natural path for this is for it to feed into future films. So.
It's what they do. Like they tell their stories, but they definitely are like, we're telling this story, but we're starting to tell that story too. And I know you don't like that, but
it's like, for God's sake, you've been doing it for like they start in 2008? Can't they tell a freaking real solo story?
It's got to be one of the big three, John. Aliens, androids, or wizards.
Yep.
Well, we know we're getting a wizard movie, so what's next? Aliens or androids?
It's none of them. It's not any of the big three. Super cool. Or the power broker ends up being an alien android wizard.
Yeah, I will say I definitely see the power broker being revealed, and I'm sort of right now just banking on the fact that we've probably already seen the power broker, whether it's in the course of this series or in one of the previous films or something.
Yeah. So it'll be someone familiar.
Yeah. I mean, if it was just, a new person, we would have seen them already. So,
maybe it's there's a Wakanda connection. We don't know. That is very interesting.
Which, by the way, I am so psyched for that. Like, as soon as she showed up and that music kicked in, I was like, okay, I'm digging that. Like, that's going to be fun. And, sorry, go ahead, Steve.
No, I was just going to say, you're talking about Sharon Carter?
No.
I'm sorry, I was reading the chat, so I got lost for a second.
The Wakandan.
Right. Yeah, the Dora Milaje agent, however you want to call him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Um,
I was reading, and then you started talking about some woman being Austin. I'm like, are we back on Sharon Carter? Because she did.
No, it's
she did.
Ayo from Wakanda.
She did kick a lot of ass in that episode. But you're right. Like, it was really cool to see Dora Milaje again as well.
Yes.
Like, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for what's to come.
And like, I really, even though admittedly I don't love Black Panther, the actual film, as much as a lot of people do, but I can really sing the praises of that musical score, which is phenomenal. And it's, as soon as it enters in, like, you're primed and ready for that whole side of the Marvel universe. I love when they bring in the theme and Avengers Infinity War when I think it's Captain America who is like, I think I know where we can get some help, and then it cuts to Wakanda and you get the music. It's just like, oh yeah. So that's I think it's, I can never pronounce his name. Ludwig Göransson. He does the music for The Mandalorian as well.
Yeah.
He's quite a talented guy. So anyway, so you guys knew I was going to comment on music. It's just what I do. But I love that. I'm very excited to see where that leads, and also I know you guys don't necessarily like how Zemo has fit into the story, but I really honestly am enjoying his performance so much, and I'm just looking forward to see where he leads. And yeah, if there's more of that, I'm game, because that's hilarious.
He's an interesting character. He's very
good actor too. Like, I'm going to say that every time. Like, their casting department is on point. You may not always like every choice they make with the script or with the editing or what have you, but like, their actors are great actors every time.
And probably also not going to get his last name right, but Daniel Bruhl, I think.
Yeah,
he was also in Inglourious Bastards, which he was great in as well. So yeah, he's just an enjoyable actor, and I like that he's getting to do some crazier stuff in this than his role in Civil War allowed. But yeah, so I'm just looking forward to seeing where the story goes, and I want to see more with regards to Sam and his gradual move towards deciding to take the shield, because I think he's had a lot of doubt thrust in his direction, even more so than he had already, because now he's being faced with learning that there was a black super soldier and that the government used him, and what that means for there's a little bit in one of the previews where he says that talking about how the legacy of the shield is complicated. Yeah. And that's obviously what he's referring to. So I'm really looking to see what transpires over the course of these of the second half to make him decide that actually I do need to pick up this shield. So
I have a dumb question. So at the very beginning, they he gives the shield to the Smithsonian, whatever. Then did they is there still a shield, or the government say no, fuck that shit, even though
that's basically
it's the original, it's the same shield.
It's the same shield. That's what I thought. I was wondering, because I mean, obviously they didn't tell Sam, and Don Cheadle was there.
Yep.
Yeah.
They had a whole fucking ceremony. So there's again, that's we're going into plot holes that it's
it's not really.
If that's what I'm gonna get hung up on, then shame on me for.
But I don't see that as a plot hole. I see that as that's what I expect from the United States government.
Yeah, in MCU world, but even I the whole, but again, it's like, it's like, I think it's just like an MCU kind of storytelling thing that I'm like, all right, fine. It doesn't make sense why they would have like a whole ceremony just for them to like take the shield away and then, make a new Captain America, but fine. It's whatever. I'm just making sure that it was like the actual same shield, which
Yeah, I think it actually makes perfect sense because it is trying to reflect the world we live in a meaningful way, and it's showing about how you can take that symbol of what people think America should stand for and slap it on somebody that doesn't stand for that. The way a certain segment of this country
sure.
wrap themselves in the red, white, and blue, but then continues to be, not all men are created equal, and
No. Yeah, no. Yeah, I get it, but like, there's like, I'm more of like the practical, like why actually have like the ceremony instead of like just going straight up to him and being like, no, like we're taking. It's a piddly,
optics. I mean, it's all about the optics.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but then like so they have a ceremony, but then like the next day they actually announce a Captain America. Like that's. Again,
yeah, but that's in their eyes better optics than taking it from the black man who was given the shield.
Yeah,
better to have him give it over to them.
Yeah. No, it's fine. I mean, I understand. I just like, I think it's dumb.
Yeah. All right. You know what? I'm gonna agree with you on that one. It's dumb. As far as what I want to see, I just hope that by the time we get to the end of this, John Walker has had his butt totally kicked.
Yes.
And not Captain America anymore. I don't care anything else beyond that. Just, Wyatt Russell, you're doing a great job. I'm a huge fan of your dad. And I don't know if it's your mom or your stepmom, but
Only Hans' his mom.
That's his mom.
I wasn't sure if that was his mom or his stepmom, but mad respect for you and your family. But man, I don't want you to be Captain America. And as Sean said, I want Zemo to get his mask glued to his face so that he's constantly in purple face, like his comic book character.
Wow.
I didn't even realize. See, I'm not well versed in the comics either, so I didn't even know that was a thing.
I'm not really either, but like I look at Wikipedia.
But no, I want to see Daniel Bruhl's performance if he goes forward, in other Marvel stuff. I don't want him stuck behind a mask.
You're right. He is great. Like, he's got a good face for it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, do you guys want Walker to like have a redeeming moment before he goes out, or do you just want him to be, a dick all the way to the end, and then
should he land on his fourth grenade?
Yeah, I want to throw himself on another grenade and get blown
without the reinforced helmet.
Right.
Yeah. You put the helmet down. There's a trick to it.
Yeah.
What the hell, man? Oh,
what a dumbass.
He dumb.
Well,
he's playing the character very well. Is all I'm saying.
He really is. And like, props to him. If for all of us to hate him that much, the actor got to be killing it.
Yeah.
And I did want to say hello to somebody who I don't recognize. Sunning Iris, welcome to the stream. Most of us here are regulars, but always nice to have somebody new pop in. And I actually fully agree with your sentiment here. It really does look like they're addressing past and present racial hypocrisy with the way that they are portraying Sam and Isaiah as well. I really want to see Isaiah again.
Mm-hmm. I want them to bring him back in some way.
I agree.
And if he's there when he takes up the shield, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I would love to see that man throw the shield one time at least. I mean, I know he's an older man, but super soldier serum, he's bound to still have a whole lot going on, you know?
Yeah.
But y'all, that's the 2-hour mark. That's about all I ever have in me before I start shutting down. I know I'm an amateur. People do 24 hours.
Oh, I don't know how poor Heidi, apparently, she didn't make it 24 hours.
I didn't think she would.
Yeah.
That was a
but she must have.
that was a huge undertaking.
I think they kept the stream going until about 6:30, but Heidi did not make it. I think Justin.
She got close though.
Yeah, she got really close, and like Justin came in late, so yeah, that's it was chaos.
Yeah.
Of course, and I'm still cracking up over the fact that the two men on the stream drew their swords. Like I totally walked into that one.
Didn't we like at one point all of us like turn off our so it was just you and him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I had fun on it. I watched you guys for a few hours last night on it. I don't know if it's still up on YouTube or if you can go watch the VOD, but there was a lot of crazy going on. A lot of fun conversation going on over there on Costume Co's channel.
Yeah.
Oh, hey JP, you're here right at the end, buddy. We're just moving towards the end. So Bex, I know you said earlier you're not really making new content right now.
Not at the moment, but
we're gonna have you back.
Awesome.
You've been on this channel now. Nessie's gonna start dragging you onto her channel. John's gonna start asking you about what movies you really love the best.
That's what happens.
That's what happens.
I believe me. Yeah, I know it happened.
Yeah, if it was like putting aside the fact that you're absolutely delightful, you're also an editor. You're also an editor, which means that hell yeah, you're coming on the channel.
Yeah,
awesome.
Exactly. So, John, I know you're not ready to relaunch quite yet, but it's coming soon.
We are getting there, I promise.
Yeah, you are getting there. Your birthday stream last Thursday was fantastic. Go watch that. It was so much fun, y'all. Seriously, it was just a really fun, low-key conversation.
You guys I really have to say, because we did that stream and then we did we all hopped on Slack after that. You guys really made my birthday just an absolute joy. I went to bed that night just smiling ear to ear, so thank you.
It's not in public, and I'm not going to make it public, but there is somebody mentions towards the end of the stream about photoshopping John into pictures of Keira Knightley. I have a photoshopped picture of John's head on Keira Knightley's green dress body, and it is so good. I love it so much. Again,
did not have to divulge that, Stephen.
It's out there in the universe. You don't get to see it. Only I get to see it. It's good stuff. Nessie.
Yeah.
Thursday evening after Robert's in Deep Geek, or I guess we're going 7 p.m. Eastern, right?
We're going 7 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully he'll be done. If not, it'll be
whether Robert's done or not, for Bleep the Toxicity.
Bleep it, y'all.
And Nessie, I know you normally your channel is a lot about women's issues, and you have a preponderance of women guests on there, but I'm honored to be one of the few men asked to come on, because me and John, I'm sure you're honored too, as well as Micah Clark, are going to be on there to talk about toxic masculinity.
Yes.
And as men, we want to talk about our perspective on it, because it will be different than a woman's perspective. And the three of us are all going to tell you that we recognize how bad it is, not just for you, but for everyone.
Yeah. Well, patriarchy hurts men too.
Mm-hmm.
So the more we stamp it out,
it doesn't hurt us more, but it hurts us also.
It does hurt me also.
But see,
Aemy Blackfyre, your co-host for that series, will also be there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But there is a problem, though. If Micah's going to be on the stream, this also means that I am going to have to make sure to watch The Prince of Egypt before the stream, because he will not let me hear the end of it if I still haven't.
If it devolves into, a Prince of Egypt stream, then that's mythology. We'll talk about that too. That's the other thing we like to talk about over on the Unspun Yarn. So if we can blend the two, all the better.
Right on, right on. Okay, so
it's going to be fun. Yeah.
I think that's the end, though, y'all. So, chatters, thank you so much for being here. If you're watching this afterwards, thank you also, just not quite as much as those who are here live.
You're our favorite.
I have been your host, Stephen Stark. John, Nessie, thanks, guys, so much for, being awesome and always like having really great thoughts. We bounced off each other really well. I like that we had differing opinions on things. And last but certainly not least, Shadowcat Becks. Thank you so much. It was really nice having you on the channel.
Yeah,
know you a little better.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I had a really great time tonight. Yeah,
we will have you back soon to talk about who knows what, something.
Perfect. Perfect.
We like to have people come back and get to know each other. But,
excellent.
Until next time, everyone. Oh yeah, next week come back for I Know That Nerd with Cecilia of Geekstralia, a lovely lady who has become a friend of the channel over the last few months. So looking forward to that one, and start watching season 3 of the Clone Wars, because you got 2 weeks to finish it before we talk about it. All right, so you know what it is. Until next time, peace and be excellent to each other.